Okay, so I'm Emily and I'm here with Lynn, and we are going to work with Jamboard and figure out how to make our lessons more interactive. Okay, so the first thing I do, I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see what I've got. So before I send a student into Jamboard, I have to teach them about it first. So Jamboard resides, are you seeing my
Yep.
Google?
Good.
Okay, my Drive. Jamboard resides in Google Drive, and I call it the stepchild of Google because it's down here in More, and it's down here all the way at the bottom here. After you're going to look at Google Apps Script and all these other things, there's Google Jamboard. So you can make a new Jamboard here through your Drive. You can also do it through the app, and you can do it through jam.google.com. I will tell you that, so the Jamboard itself is a smart board that they made the smart board and they sold it to classes, and they put this huge smart board up in the classes, and it's $5,000 and whatnot. But the software that went along with it can be used for the rest of us who don't have the $5,000 board. So because Jamboard is associated with a physical board, it seems that the software has been relegated to, the orphan child category. If you, in your Drive, one thing I want to show very quickly is that it's really, really hard to find your jams once they're in your Drive. You have to organize well. So if I come up here to my search, there is not an option to search for a jam. So if you want to search for your jams, you write in type.jam. And that's the fastest way to pull up your jams. Okay, so type.jam, and then you can see all your jams and pull up the one you want. I already have one up that I want to work with. And when I first bring a student into Jamboard, I want them to see my screen and just see the function. So as you're looking at my screen, this is the name of the file, and like any other Google file, it saves automatically. You don't have to hit save. It's there. It's in your Drive. You can share it. You can rename it, download it. What you cannot do is you cannot get version history. Does that make sense? You can make a copy. You can do things. You cannot get version history. That's one thing that does not exist in Jamboard. So up here, this area here is I think they call it their frame selector. So right now it says 1-13. That means I have 13 frames, they call them frames, or pages in the Jamboard. And it's like if you had whiteboard after whiteboard after whiteboard. So you have a maximum of 20 in Jamboard. And what I found is that once you get beyond about 18, it starts to slow down because it's thinking like, oh, are you going to try to exceed what's capable? You can do it, but if the jam is too big, it slows down. So right now it says I'm on page 1 or frame 1 of 13 available used frames here. And then there are left arrows and right arrows. This area here is the actual whiteboard. And this is what would be, if this was on my computer, this is what would be up on the physical Jamboard if you had that. Now, the physical Jamboard has 8 bazillion functions. The software that lives here in Google has very few functions. It has a pen, so this icon's a pen. It has an eraser. It has a select tool. It has a sticky note, and the sticky note is where you would add text. It has an image selector, and it has a laser pointer. I make sure that the kids know these, and within the pen, you can have different types of pens and different colors, and that's helpful. Within your sticky notes, you can have different colored sticky notes or a transparent sticky note if you just want to have text appear on your jam. And you can write a note in here. Hi, Lynn. And of course, kids love to write notes to each other. So there, when you hit save, it appears in the jam, and it assumes that you'll want to write another. So when you want to get out of your stickies, you have to cancel. So here's my note to you, Lynn. There. Okay. You can do other things, and I have notes in here, you know, just as helps. Here's the one thing I tell everybody. Before you share a jam with your students, you must make a clean copy for yourself. So duplicate it. Make sure you have a clean duplicate that no one else touches before you share with your students, because once you give them edit capabilities, they can do anything. They can come in and erase all of your work. They can erase each other's work. They can write horrible things to each other. They can totally mess up all of your formatting and everything you've done. So make sure that you have a clean copy before you share it. Okay. Up here is the frame selector, and I can go left or right. And down here, this teeny tiny arrow right below it is the expand frame bar. When I press that, it gives me the ability to see several frames at once. So I can say, yes, I want to go to this one. I can do that. Or I want to go to this one, whatever. But what I do as a teacher is I expand it and I get to see 5 frames. So if I'm doing a small group, I will invite my students in so long as I have no more than 5. You know, if I have 6, I have to then maneuver back and forth to see them. But I will have 5 students and I'll say, so-and-so you go to frame 1, so-and-so you go to frame 2, and you go to 3, you go to 4, and you go to 5. And I will sit here and expand my frame bar and watch each of my students work at the same time. Okay, so let me just go through some of the other things before I invite you in. So in frame 1, this is something from Google Drive. This is super crazy. Their iPad, and you know, Google and iPad, they don't usually get along as nicely, but for some reason, their iPad or iPhone app has the ability to upload directly from Google Drive. And yet, here in Chrome, it doesn't have that. I don't know why, but if you want to upload something from your Google Drive, it's easiest to do from your iPad or your phone. Anyway, so that's just an example of something. And you can load in several pages of a document. The thing that I find most frustrating about Jamboard is that the background is really very limited. So knowing that it was created for a huge board, a $5,000 board that's in your classroom, the lines, the spacing, everything assumes that you're having those things appear on your board. So it's very of limited function for here. Like those lines are just too small to do anything with, other than just give you the ability to see what's straight. But if you like different colors, you can get a different color. So the lined paper is not functional for writing, except to just sort of keep you from going too crooked. It's not functional for the kids for spacing letters. And you cannot put anything into background as you would in Google Slides. So in Google Slides, you can take an image, you can pop it into the background, or you can pop it into master slide, whatever you do, and it doesn't move. That is not a possibility here with Jamboard. So whatever is in here, this is movable, okay? And it can be erased by anyone who comes in. So all of these pieces are movable using the select icon. So the background function is the most disappointing part of the jam. But if you can get past that, there are a lot of good functions. So here, this is just an example of a bingo board. You can use snippet or, you know, whatever print screen or however you snag. images and pop the images in using the image function here. And when I invite my students in, we can work collaboratively. And we can play, well, we're going to go for 3 in a row, you know. The word is sat. Who can find what says, what the vowel sound is sat? And I will tell my students, you know, what color pen are you using? Okay, you're using green and so-and-so is using blue, so we can see what each student is doing. So we can work in one frame all together if we want to. And what you'll see is this icon here will tell you how many people are in this frame. And that's, so I'm gonna actually join in from my iPad too so we can see. So when I ask students to join, I go to the share button. I change this to anyone on the internet with this link can edit, because you want your students to be able to edit. You could add, if you're in a group and you know their emails, whatnot, you can add them in this way. I often just say anyone can edit, because I've done small groups where the kids are at home and they're using their mom's computer, they're using their dad's iPad, whatever. And so I make it anyone can edit, but make sure that you've saved a clean copy before you give the edit capabilities. Copy the link, and then I'm going to send it to you, Lynn, through chat. I'm just going to do Control V, it's in chat, and you can just tap on it and you've got a live link. And I am in, which one am I in? Okay. And you're in, and I can see your icon popped up here. Okay, so while you're here, and if I come down here, I see that you're on 1. Could you please use your right arrow and move to 2? There, and I see that you have moved to 2. And I'm going to join in with, I think I'm on the same jam as an incognito there. There, so I've joined you in an incognito window. And once I want kids to do anything, I say, use your pen icon. Don't use the select anymore. Everyone touch on your pen. And go ahead and make a mark somewhere on the outside of the frame so I can see that they are using the pen. So Lynn, go ahead and make a mark somewhere here. Nice job. Okay, so I see that happening. Okay, and I could say, okay, we can work together on this. We're trying to get 3 in a row. Your turn is we're trying to find the vowel in the word sat. Go ahead and put your X on the vowel sound you hear in sat. And now you were using black. I'm going to change to red. Nice job. And my, for another student's turn, I say, okay, we're going to find the vowel sound that's in the word sit. And so I'll come and mark here. Okay, so we can mark here collaboratively in one frame. So that, that is useful if you want to play a little game like this. So I can put an image of a game board in here, and they can use the pen to indicate movement around the game board. That makes sense. But I want to always check that they're using their pen icon, because as soon as someone comes and they says, oh, okay, I got it. And if they're still on the select, they go to do this and the whole thing's moved. Okay. Each person can only undo what they did. So for instance, if I come up here as the teacher and say, oh, you've just messed it up, my undo will not undo what you did. It will only undo my last action. So the student has to use their undo, and the undo is this one here. So the student has to undo their action. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so then That's one of the things we can do. Here's one of the things I can do. And actually, let me just, because you have to go quickly. If I had, I'm going to go into frame 5. Okay, so let me stand here. If any of your students are on an iPad, when they make a movement using their select, they have to then actually physically tap outside of their box for it to show up on anyone else's screen. So they could move and it looks to them like they've moved their piece, but no one else will see it until they actually tap their finger outside of the box. So for iPad users, you're always saying, move and tap, and you get them to move and then tap somewhere else so you can actually see it. Okay, so here, if we're working with Elkin boxes, I take I go up and I expand my frame bar and I duplicate it. I duplicate it for as many students as I have. And then I can put each student into a different frame. And right now, Lynn, you're on frame 5, I believe. And I would take my other computer and I'll be on 7. Now, if you wanted to see, I as the teacher can, and you'll see it in the recording, Lynn, but I as the teacher, I will expand my frame bar and I will watch all my students work and I'll say, okay, move your frames up. If your frames are in the way, or in this case, this one's out there. Okay, and we're going to do phonemic awareness activities and I'll say, okay, let's build the word step. Step, and use your boxes and let's go ahead and bring your boxes down or up to build the word step. So using your cursor, now make sure you use the cursor, it's the arrow. So Lynn, you would use your cursor and you can move down boxes to build the word step. And I'm gonna do that here on my other computers. Okay, I wasn't watching you because I was doing mine. So did you do yours?
Yeah, but I'm having trouble moving them.
Are you using a mouse or are you using your trackpad?
The trackpad.
Okay, so trackpad, and you can't have, you the student should not have the frame bar expanded. So tap that out of the way. Are you looking at your frame bar expanded? So you want that, you press it up so you have the full jam.
Yes, I think, yeah, I don't think I have it expanded.
Okay, so what I tell my kids on trackpad is one finger holds it, the other finger moves it. So some kids can do it by pressing and moving with one hand, but most of my little guys, one finger holds it, the other finger moves it. So do you want to try that? Does that work better?
Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, no.
And are you on your arrow using the select tool?
Maybe not. Here we go. That's it. Yep.
Okay.
Down. That's it.
Now,
sorry.
It's okay.
Yep.
I can see you move it in real time as a teacher. I can see you do it. Now I can say, my students have now done that, and I said, okay, we want to change this. Let's see, what would happen if I change the eh to an ah? Can you change your eh to an ah? I don't know if you do things like this with yours.
Yeah, indeed. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Did you move your eh? Let's say the sounds again.
No, I didn't. I used my t. Yeah, here we
go.
go.
Okay, so I can see that. I can see 5 kids at one time what they're doing. Now I don't have 5 devices set up to watch that, but I can sit there and see this. So if my student does this or whatever, I can see it happen. Or as you did, oh, okay, and I can see it happen and talk to them in real time about what's going on. Okay? Now let's
That's
move
great.
on. Let's move on. I have some letter tiles put in on 8, if you would go first to 8. So some student, oh my goodness, they messed up. They put in these extra things. They drew pictures. They did everything else. What I would do here is, because rather than moving the pieces back, which takes time, I go up and I just eliminate that box. I delete that frame because I know I have a clean one. So now let's move to 8, 9, 10. And I would duplicate my clean ones again. So you're on 10. I'm going to move my other computer over to 8. And I can say, okay, let's spell the word step. And I can watch you pull down your letters. And you know, if you want, if you're one that you put lines out for them to move in, you can do that too. But however it is that you normally. And I can see. Good job. Excellent. Now we have step. I want to change this to say stop. What do I need to move? And I can see them move. Okay. And I can say, okay, don't touch it, hands up. If I took away my, what's my new word? Can you hear it? And when they tell me it's top, I'll say, okay, let's make it. Whatever. So I can do whatever activities I want and see them in real time as they manipulate.
So good. Yeah. No, I appreciate that, Emily. Thank you so much.
Okay, you need to go.
Yeah.
And Lynn, so you've got a copy of this on your...
Yes. Yes, it's in my Jamboard. Yeah.
Okay, so make a copy, please. Make your own copy. And you can read the notes that I have on here and how I use it for, and I'll continue for another couple of minutes because I want to just show something else here. Okay? I know you need to sign off.
Thank you.
All right, bye. All right, so here I have on page 12 here, I put in a bunch of sticky notes, and these happen to be blends. Now, I like to do sorts in Flippity better than in Jam, but if I'm doing other activities in Jam, I might do sorts or whatever here too. And we can read words, we can move words. The other thing we do is we might play a little game. I might have several students come into this one frame. I'll move things out of the way here. And I'll say, okay, everybody, let's everybody find a word that has the vowel sound eh and pull it into your corner. So so-and-so moves this one to his corner, and I'll tell them what their corners are, or I might write on it and say, this is Tommy's corner, this is whoever's, and they can move their cards to their corner. So just giving them the ability to move. And for me, when I do review, if I can make it at all game-like, it usually helps, because I can't sit there and say, read this list of words 10 times. We're working on fluency. Come on, 10 times, read the words. But if I can get them to interact with it and play with it, then I can often get 10 repetitions as they're reading through the words. And I can say, okay, everyone, let's look for a word that's a thing. Remember, nouns, name, persons, places, and things. Find a word that's a thing, something that you can hold. And someone pulls this one. Oops, I'm on pen. Someone pulls this one. Someone pulls this one. Oh, I can hold my little brother. He's a brat. Someone can pull whatever. Is this one? Well, black's really a describing word, but I can get them to read again and again and again as they're playing a game. And we're talking about the words and doing vocabulary. So anyway, and here, I've also, of course, used Jam for math and for kids with touch screen or with iPads. And we write things out, we figure things out on the iPad or on the touch screen, and we just use the writing tool. I've played with putting manipulatives in, but it's the images that become manipulatives. It's really easy to, as in slides, to distort them or change the size. So then they're maybe less functional as if you're doing size manipulatives as opposed to just counters. Okay, that's it for today. I hope that's helpful for using Jamboard for small group activities. And stop.